What started as a casual on-camera conversation suddenly spiraled into one of the most explosive celebrity confrontations in recent memory. And the moment the cameras kept rolling, things went completely out of control. In a clip that's now spreading like wildfire, Ray J appears visibly agitated, his tone shifting from sharp to outright hostile as he directly calls out both Camron and Mase in a way that no one expected. Not even the people standing right beside him. What was supposed to be a normal discussion, it instantly turned into a heated verbal clash, with Ray J allegedly accusing the group of rewriting history, moving funny behind the scenes, and playing both sides for years. And just when everyone thought it couldn't escalate further, he didn't stop there. Insiders claim that tensions had been quietly building for weeks, but no one anticipated Ray J would confront them so publicly and so aggressively. The energy in the room reportedly shifted within seconds, with awkward silence, exchanged glances, and rising frustration that seemed seconds away from boiling over into something physical. And then came the moment that shocked everyone. According to early leaks from those present, Shyne was mentioned directly in the confrontation, triggering an even deeper layer of tension tied to past alliances, betrayals, and unresolved history that fans have long speculated about but never fully understood. Now social media is flooded with clips, reactions, and theories. With fans divided, sides being chosen, and hidden connections being exposed in real time. Yeah, but here's the part no one can agree on. Was this an unplanned emotional outburst? Or a calculated move that just exposed a much bigger, long-buried industry conflict? Because what happened next, according to multiple eyewitness accounts, may have changed everything. And the full story is only just beginning to surface. To truly understand why this confrontation exploded so violently, you have to rewind years, long before the cameras captured that heated moment, and long before social media turned it into a viral battlefield. At the center of this storm is Ray J, a figure who has spent years navigating between music, television, and controversy. Known for his outspoken personality and unfiltered interviews, Ray J has never been someone to hold back when he feels disrespected. Over time, his public persona has evolved into someone who thrives in confrontation, someone who doesn't just respond to drama, but often creates it when he feels pushed too far. On the other side of this tension are two heavyweights from hip-hop's golden era, Camron and Mase, both of whom have built reputations not just on music, but on sharp commentary, media presence, and long-standing influence in hip-hop culture. Their transition from music to media personalities has only amplified their voices, giving them platforms where opinions carry weight and narratives can quickly spread. But what many fans don't realize is that beneath the surface of public appearances and interviews lies a history of subtle disagreements, competitive tension, and differing perspectives on industry loyalty, success, and authenticity. Then there's Shyne, a figure whose story is arguably the most complex of all. From his early rise in the rap industry to his time away from the spotlight, and eventual return as both an artist and political figure. Shyne represents transformation, reinvention, and, according to some insiders, unresolved connections that still linger behind the scenes of hip-hop's inner circles. For years, these names have existed in overlapping spaces: interviews, collaborations, shared acquaintances, and indirect references, but rarely direct confrontation. That silence, according to insiders, is what made the eventual clash so explosive. Because tensions that are not addressed publicly often build up privately until they can no longer be contained. Multiple anonymous sources now claim that behind closed doors, while conversations about respect, credit, and industry narratives have been circulating for some time. Some allege that subtle comments made in interviews were perceived as indirect shots. Others believe business disagreements and past affiliations created quiet friction that never fully healed. And while none of these issues had escalated into something visibly dramatic, until now, the energy was reportedly shifting in recent months. People close to the situation suggest that Ray J had been increasingly vocal in private conversations, expressing frustration over what he believed were misleading narratives being pushed in media discussions involving hip-hop history and personal reputations. At the same time, Camron and Mase have continued to build their media presence, often engaging in debates and commentary that sometimes touch on sensitive industry topics. What makes this situation even more intense is the fact that all parties involved are not just entertainers. They are storytellers, commentators, and voices that influence public perception. That means any disagreement between them isn't just personal, it becomes public, amplified, and dissected by millions. So when these worlds collided in that now viral moment, it wasn't just random tension. It was the culmination of years of overlapping histories, unspoken disagreements, and growing pressure that had been building beneath the surface. According to early chatter from insiders present at the scene, the atmosphere leading up to the confrontation was already tense. Small remarks, subtle body language, and exchanged looks hinted that something was off. But no one expected it to escalate so quickly, or so publicly. And perhaps the most important part of this background is that all of these individuals are highly aware of their public image, which makes the sudden breakdown in composure even more shocking because it suggests that whatever triggered Ray J in that moment wasn't minor. It was something he felt strongly enough about to risk reputational consequences in real time. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This wasn't just a random argument caught on camera. It may be the surface-level eruption of a much deeper, long-standing conflict that fans are only now beginning to see pieces of. And what happened in that room is only the beginning of a chain reaction that could expose even more behind-the-scenes tensions that have been quietly simmering for years. The moment that changed everything reportedly began in what was supposed to be a routine, behind-the-scenes discussion. No audience, no expectations, and definitely no anticipation of confrontation. According to multiple eyewitness accounts, Ray J entered the space already carrying visible tension. Those present described his demeanor as unusually sharp, his tone clipped, and his energy far more intense than what people are used to seeing in casual settings. At the same time, Camron and Mase were engaged in conversation with others, appearing relaxed, until the atmosphere suddenly shifted the moment Ray J began addressing them directly. What started as a seemingly innocent exchange quickly turned into a pointed back and forth. Insiders claim Ray J began referencing past interviews and public statements, accusing certain individuals of shaping narratives in ways he felt were misleading. His voice reportedly grew louder with each sentence, his frustration becoming impossible to ignore. Then came the first major escalation. Witnesses say Ray J directly questioned the credibility of comments made in media discussions associated with Camron and Mase, implying that behind-the-scenes knowledge was being selectively presented to the public. The tone wasn't just confrontational, it was personal. The room reportedly fell into an uneasy silence. Camron, known for his calm but cutting responses, allegedly responded with subtle pushback, questioning Ray J's interpretation of events and suggesting that things were being taken out of context. Mase, meanwhile, appeared to attempt de-escalation at first, but the tension kept rising with every exchange sentence. And then, the confrontation crossed a line no one expected. According to leaked snippets from individuals present, Ray J abruptly raised his voice and made a series of direct accusations, suggesting that certain people in the room had been moving strategically in ways that weren't aligned with transparency or honesty. That's when the energy shifted from a disagreement to something much more volatile. Phones reportedly came out. Recording began in secret. Now whispered reactions spread across the room as people realized this was no longer just talk. It was becoming a moment that could go public at any second. But the most shocking part? A source claims that during the height of the argument, Ray J referenced Shyne in a way that immediately changed the tone of the entire exchange. The mention wasn't casual, it appeared to tie into deeper industry history, past alliances, and unresolved issues that suddenly became part of the confrontation. Witnesses described a noticeable shift in body language across the room, as if a hidden layer of tension had just been activated. Camron and Mase's reactions, according to those present, were no longer just defensive. They became visibly more serious, suggesting that the mention struck a deeper nerve than anything said before. At that exact moment, the conversation reportedly stopped being about opinions. and started sounding like a collision of histories, loyalties, and unspoken grievances that had been sitting beneath the surface for years. Then came the twist no one saw coming. Instead of calming down or walking away, Ray J allegedly doubled down, raising the stakes even further by implying that there were conversations and situations the public had never been told about. That single implication turned the situation from a heated exchange into something far more dangerous. A confrontation where each side seemed aware that saying too much could expose information others wanted kept hidden. The room, now fully locked in tension, became silent except for the voices at the center of the storm. And just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate further, one comment, reportedly delivered in response to Ray J's accusations, shifted the entire direction of the conflict again, introducing a new layer of implications that could connect multiple past events, alliances, and rivalries into one unfolding narrative. And that's when everyone realized this was no longer just a disagreement. It had become something much bigger, something that was about to spill far beyond that room, into the public eye in ways none of them could control. As if the confrontation wasn't already spiraling out of control, what happened next reportedly pushed the situation into an entirely new dimension, one that insiders claim no one in the room was fully prepared for. According to multiple sources, after the initial clash between Ray J, Camron, and Mase, the energy didn't just remain tense, it intensified. Witnesses say Ray J shifted from defensive to fully assertive, allegedly introducing claims that suggested deeper behind-the-scenes disagreements involving trust, loyalty, and how certain narratives have been shaped in public over time. But the real shock came when new details, described by insiders as unexpected and unprompted, entered the conversation. Sources claim that Ray J began referencing situations that had never been publicly connected before, implying that conversations from different time periods and different circles were somehow interlinked. This immediately raised eyebrows in the room, as those present began to realize this wasn't just a personal argument, it was touching on broader industry dynamics. Then came the moment that triggered the second wave of escalation. According to leaked social media chatter from individuals claiming to have been nearby, Ray J's comments appeared to suggest that certain individuals had been positioning themselves strategically within media platforms, influencing discussions in ways that could shape public perception. Almost instantly, clips began circulating online, some blurry, some partial, but enough to spark massive speculation. Within minutes, Twitter, X threads exploded with theories. One user claimed, "This isn't random. This has been building behind the scenes for months." Another wrote, "Ray J said too much. This is bigger than just Cam and Mase J." Others began connecting past interviews, podcast moments, and subtle remarks that now seemed more meaningful in hindsight. Meanwhile, Das alleged insider accounts began posting anonymous updates, suggesting that tensions had been quietly brewing long before this public confrontation. Some posts even claimed that private disagreements over media narratives and industry commentary had already caused friction, but were never addressed openly until now. Adding fuel to the fire, fan pages began dissecting every frame of the leaked clips, pointing out body language shifts, pauses, and reactions that suggested deeper emotional triggers than what was being said out loud. And then came the most controversial part of this escalation. Shyne's name resurfaced again in online discussions tied to the incident, with fans debating whether Shyne was indirectly connected to the underlying tension being referenced during the confrontation. While nothing was officially confirmed, the mere association was enough to send speculation into overdrive. Industry commentators began weighing in as well, with some suggesting that this situation reflects a larger pattern in entertainment, where media platforms, personal branding, and historical narratives often collide, creating friction between personalities who operate in overlapping spaces. Others argued that the confrontation highlighted how quickly private disagreements can become public spectacles in the digital age, especially when cameras, phones, and real-time uploads are involved. But perhaps the most alarming revelation came from a leaked audio snippet, circulating anonymously, where a voice believed to be part of the original setting can be heard reacting in real time, expressing shock at how quickly the argument escalated and suggesting that this wasn't supposed to go this far. If authentic, that single detail implies something even more unsettling. That the confrontation may not have been planned, but once it began, no one was able to control how far it would go. Now, with multiple narratives forming simultaneously, conflicting accounts emerging, and social media dissecting every second of the incident, one critical question remains unanswered. Was this purely a spontaneous emotional breakdown? Or the exposure of a much deeper, long-standing web of tension that had been quietly influencing interactions behind the scenes for years? Because based on the reactions, the leaks, and the way new details keep surfacing, it's becoming increasingly clear that this story is far from over. And the next wave of revelations could potentially shift everything once again. The moment the clips hit social media, the reaction was instant, explosive, and completely uncontrollable. Within minutes, timelines were flooded with reactions to the confrontation involving Ray J, Camron, and Mase, with fans, commentators, and self-proclaimed insiders all scrambling to interpret what they had just witnessed. Twitter, X, became the main battleground. Hashtags related to the incident began trending almost immediately, with users splitting into two intense camps. One side defended Ray J, claiming he was finally speaking up and calling out what they described as long-standing inconsistencies in industry narratives. These users praised his boldness, arguing that he refused to stay silent and instead confronted issues directly, no matter the consequences. The opposing side, however, criticized Ray J's approach, calling the confrontation unprofessional and unnecessarily aggressive. Some users accused him of escalating the situation for attention, suggesting that the public outburst overshadowed any valid points he may have been trying to make. Meanwhile, Camron and Mase supporters rallied behind them, highlighting their years of media presence and arguing that their commentary has always been grounded in experience and perspective. Fans pointed to past interviews and podcast appearances as evidence that their voices carry weight in hip-hop culture. As the debate intensified, reaction clips began flooding TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Creators slowed down the footage, analyzing facial expressions, pauses, and tone shifts frame by frame, trying to decode hidden meanings behind every word spoken during the confrontation. Some even claimed that certain reactions from individuals in the room suggested deeper awareness of unresolved issues, while others argued that the entire situation was being overanalyzed by the internet. At the same time, commentary channels and entertainment news outlets began covering the incident, framing it as one of the most unexpected celebrity clashes of the moment. Industry voices also began subtly weighing in. Without directly naming names, several commentators discussed how quickly disagreements in the entertainment world can escalate when multiple personalities with strong public platforms are involved. Others emphasized how media narratives, personal branding, and long-standing histories can intersect in unpredictable ways. The involvement, direct or indirect, of Shyne in online discussions added another layer to the public debate, with fans questioning whether deeper historical context played a role in the tensions being discussed. Some users even began mapping out timelines, trying to connect past interviews, collaborations, and public statements into a broader narrative that could explain why this confrontation escalated so quickly. But amid all the analysis, one thing became undeniably clear. This wasn't just another celebrity disagreement. It had evolved into a full-scale public discourse, one that exposed divisions in fan communities, sparked debates about authenticity and media influence, and reignited conversations about how much of what audiences see reflects the full reality behind the scenes. And yet, despite all the reactions, opinions, and breakdowns, there was still no definitive explanation that satisfied everyone. No official statement had fully clarified the situation. No side had completely backed down. And no version of the story had been universally accepted as the truth. Which is exactly why the conversation didn't fade. Instead, it kept growing, fueling speculation, drawing in new voices, and ensuring that this moment would remain under scrutiny long after the initial clips stopped trending. Because in situations like this, public reaction doesn't just follow the story, it becomes part of the story itself. And as the debate continues to unfold across platforms, one lingering question continues to echo louder than all the rest. What really triggered the confrontation in the first place? And what hasn't been revealed yet that could completely change how this entire situation is understood? Because based on the intensity of the reactions alone, it's clear that the surface has barely been scratched, and the full truth may still be waiting to come out. Just when it seemed like the dust was beginning to settle, a new development surfaced that completely shifted the direction of the entire narrative. And according to insiders, this is the detail that could redefine everything that happened during the confrontation involving Ray J, Camron, and Mase. The leaked messages, circulating anonymously across private group chats and later shared on niche forums, allegedly suggest that the confrontation may not have been as spontaneous as it appeared on the surface. According to these leaks, certain conversations had taken place prior to the recorded incident, hinting that tensions were already elevated before the camera started capturing the moment. While the authenticity of these messages has not been officially verified, the timing and wording have sparked intense speculation among fans and commentators. The most shocking claim within these leaks? That the mention of Shyne during the confrontation may not have been random at all, but rather tied to an ongoing discussion about historical narratives, past alliances, and how certain events have been publicly interpreted over time. If true, and this suggests that the argument wasn't just about the present, it was deeply rooted in unresolved perspectives from the past, with each party allegedly holding on to different interpretations of events that have never been fully reconciled. Even more unsettling is what one anonymous insider reportedly claimed. That moment wasn't the beginning. It was the moment everything that had been building finally spilled out in public. This single statement has fueled a wave of new theories suggesting that the confrontation was simply the visible tip of a much larger layered conflict involving reputation, media influence, and long-standing disagreements that had never been openly addressed. Now, fans are left questioning whether what they witnessed was truly an outburst or a breaking point that exposed hidden tensions that had been quietly accumulating behind closed doors for years. And as more alleged leaks continue to surface, each one adding another fragment to the puzzle, the situation becomes increasingly complex, with no clear resolution in sight. Because here's the reality: none of the key individuals involved have fully clarified their positions yet. No detailed official explanation has been released to confirm or deny the deeper claims circulating online. And every new piece of information only seems to raise more questions instead of answering them, which means this story is still very much unfolding. And if these leaks turn out to hold any truth at all, then what the public witnessed wasn't just a heated argument. It may have been the beginning of a much bigger reveal, one that could expose hidden dynamics, unresolved tensions, and behind-the-scenes realities that the public has never seen before. So the real question now is, was this confrontation the final chapter of a long-standing conflict? Or just the first glimpse into something far more complex that is still waiting to be fully uncovered? Because based on everything that's emerging, this situation is far from over, and the next revelation could change the entire story once again. Now that you've seen how this situation escalated from a simple conversation into a full-blown public controversy involving Ray J, Camron, and Mase, the real question is no longer what happened, but why did it happen the way it did? And more importantly, whose version of the story do you actually believe? Do you think Ray J crossed the line with his approach? Or was he exposing something that others have avoided addressing for years? Do you side with Camron and Mase, believing their stance represents experience and perspective? Or do you feel the confrontation revealed cracks in narratives that fans haven't fully seen before? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this is one of those moments where every perspective adds a new layer to the discussion, and the debate is far from over. And here's something to think about. If more behind-the-scenes details continue to leak, will your opinion stay the same? Or could everything flip once again? Make sure you like this video if you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, because the more support we get, the faster we can uncover the next layer of stories just like this one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update, because based on how fast new information is coming out, this story could evolve at any moment. And in the next episode, we may uncover new reactions, possible clarifications from the people involved, or even more leaked details that could completely change how this entire situation is understood. Stay tuned, because what you've seen so far might just be the beginning of something much bigger, and you won't want to miss what comes next.